Hey, secondhand soul fans.
Hey, hey, secondhand soul fans, how you doing? It's me, your friendly neighborhood soul man, Loud Dynamite Miller, and I'm here with.
You know it. It's the sax man, Dave Drower. How you doing out there?
All right, my main man Dave Drowers here, and we got a special guest in the house this evening, a very special guest. It's our guitar man. That's
Yeah,
right,
baby.
Glenn Jacobson. What's happening,
Glenn,
Glenn?
how's it going,
How you
buddy?
doing?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Hanging in there,
Yeah.
hanging in there. And welcome everybody to the Secondhand Soul Band Show. This is episode 3. Can you believe it, everybody? You still with us? Secondhand Soul Band Show, episode 3.
And even if they're not with us now, you know that they're going to be watching later.
Yeah. Kathy's out this time, and she'll be back for the next show. But we got a big show for you today. Just to sum it up here, we got some venue news with the Jam Lab. We're going to talk about a hit that we did this last week. Then we got a performance video that we got coming up. We're going to talk a little bit about behind the lens. You know, when we go behind the lens and talk about what happens behind that curtain or behind the camera or backstage, etc. Then we have our famous over-under segment that Dave and I do. And this week's artist is going to be Joe Cocker. So we're going to have Glenn chime in on that one. And then we'll do a little interview with our special guest, Mr. Glenn Jacobson, the guitar man from Secondhand Soul Band. Can you dig in? And remember now, if you guys have any questions out there, our chat room is open. So you make sure you put your question in there. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, we see all those chats. And we'll get started right now, and we'll hit Q&A at the end. How's that? You got
Sounds
anything,
like a plan.
Dave?
Let's do it.
All right.
So what do we got coming up first here? We got to talk about. Well, actually, let's do the intro. Got some venue needs to happen, right? So if you weren't here on Facebook or YouTube last Wednesday,
Where were you?
I don't know.
Where
I don't
were
know.
you if
They
you weren't
definitely
here?
weren't inside restaurants yet. You know,
You had nothing to do. Everybody's in the house. We were live on Facebook. Where were you? Go ahead, Dave.
we were at the Jam Lab, man.
Oh,
and,
yeah, man.
And we've been dying to play there. We were supposed to play there New Year's, and we were supposed to play there. Ironically, June 20th was supposed to be a special day for us, but we ended up there a few days earlier.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I absolutely love that place. It's such a cool place to play and to have video. One of the cool things we got to do is we had, what was it, a 3 or 4 person camera crew?
Yeah, we had 4 cameras, three guys on the crew. I mean, this studio, it's a studio, it's a rehearsal facility, it's a venue. Everybody's played there. Colin Petterick is the owner. His father, Jim Petterick, is from, the Ides of March, famous writer, guitar player, singer, vocalist, superstar. And Colin's a musician as well. Fantastic. They really took care of us there. And one of the best venues I played. And we were safe. We were able to distance. There were only probably 10 people in the whole venue. And we really were able to put on a great show. And if you guys, are interested, the Jam Lab, I was just looking at the address here, is out in Brookfield. It's 9234 West 47th Street out in Brookfield. If you go to thejamlab.net, JAMLAB.net, you can find out more information there, but we had a great time. It wasn't a great time, Dave.
Oh man, dude. And it's like all Chicago studios have to have like no signs and be just like some random building.
Yeah.
I remember going to this one studio. It was like right on the Chicago River, and it was in a storage facility, and then all of a sudden you walk into this, and it's just a multi-million-dollar studio that they have going in this place. So, we wouldn't have been able to have all these video guys because they literally took up almost the entire front of the stage. You know, because we had there was maybe 3 or 4 guys, but there was more than that in cameras. There was almost 4 or 5 cameras.
Right. And then we had an engineer, and
we had a sound engineer. I'm always nervous about that. I always like controlling how sound is. But you know, I had to take the night easy, and I got to put a little bit more energy into playing and interacting. You know, my mom was like, "Wow, you guys were really like into it," and it.
Oh yeah, man. That was hunger, man. We were just cooped up so long, and we finally got a chance to go do a hit. And you know, there was no audience there in front of us, but there was an audience behind the lens, and
there was an audience online, and
you know.
We've had this conversation a million times. I love playing for audiences, but that's not why I play. Right. You know, the magic of music. Yes, when I get to share that with an audience, it's amazing because they feel that connection, you know, that we have. But I'll do the same show for one person, for 5,000 people, because the music deserves it. That's
right. The music deserves it, and you deserve it. That's the big thing. You know, as a performer, you don't want to cheat yourself. I see so many guys go out and say, there's 20 people out there. I'm going to take it easy tonight. I'll dial it in. Nobody's here. How many times have I heard, nobody's here anyway? You don't know who's there. And no matter who's there, if you put on a bad show, you put on a bad show. Never put on a bad show. Never.
No,
I don't even care how sick you are.
No.
Never put on a bad
Standards
show. Not by choice.
Standards need to be really high. And Glenn, you missed that show because I know that you were sort of like laying back because of this situation. But now that I hear that we're moving to stage 4, you can't wait to get back into the saddle.
4. That's right. I'm just doing what I'm told, man. That's it.
I hear you, man. Absolutely.
Sounds like married men right there, doing what you're told. Fantastic.
Absolutely. No, you're doing the right thing.
Secret.
Doing the right thing, Glenn.
Happy life.
But, well, you know, Glenn, you weren't there, but we do have some footage of the performance here. We did the original tune, Slide Into the Party, so
we did.
Do we have that, Dave?
Yeah. Let's check it out so you guys could see all the lights, all the crazy action that's happening.
Yeah, check out this venue.
Here we go.
It's fantastic.
That's our picture of the Jam Lab. Now let's get us.
You're all
just a little bit snaggy.
So thank you.
Here we go.
Share it with your friends. We want to see everybody out there having
There's
fun,
that boss
dancing.
lady.
It's going to be a crazy summer. We're going to get through it together. We will see you all in person.
Yeah, it was a lot of room on that stage. Right. You know, so here's something I want to mention. Everybody knows about the way I dance on stage and everything. It's not like magic. I can't do that on carpet. I have to have like a nice, either some concrete or hardwood floor or something that's a little bit slick. And there's carpet on the stage, real nice carpet on the stage. And I said, you know, Colin, what can we do anything with the floor? Can we push the carpet back or something? And he ordered this slab of blacktop, this plywood here, so that I'd be able to dance on. I don't know how useful it was in this particular video. Okay, I did a little bit there. But yeah.
Well, no, and it's all over the place. No, but he takes care of you, which is great. It was easy to sort of walk in and just be able to worry about the music. And as you can see, there's tons of stuff going on. They had 2 cameras up in the front, and then what was there? There was a little minion down there.
And then there's one in the ceiling that's taking the wide shot. This is another guy flying around here, I think. There he is.
This camera. That's our little minion. And then they had a drum cam, which is fantastic. And the only problem that we had over there was just wireless signals.
Because there were a lot of signals going on.
Yeah, just in the area, sort of a construction area, and the building was a giant thing of metal. So every time we go to a new place, it's always interesting because there's so many problems that you see and you might not see that are going to cause issues. And when we have 6 wireless things at one time, and then our videographer team had another 5 going on. But hey, you deal with a little white noise in your ears, you know, and you put on a great show.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, when we're up there performing, you guys are having a great time, but it is not the same experience on that stage. There's all kinds of noise and crashes and bangs going on. I often tell people, don't try to hear your voice. You got to feel what your voice sounds like, because if you're listening for it, you're going to be over singing, trying to hear yourself over the music. But it's a crazy environment. The delivery, what you guys get is great, but for us up there, we have to make that happen.
Well, and that was like the days before our in-ears, you know, before.
Oh yeah.
We have this digital board now where everyone can change their feed on their phone, and they don't really have to bother me, so I can worry about the main mix that are going out. But when you hear exactly what you want, that's what it's about.
Yep, it's just like being inside a studio. It's like having a warm blanket wrapped around you. You can really perform, and you feel like almost like you're in pads, you know, like football equipment. And you can just run out there, as opposed to, you know, singing and there's like a little speaker on the floor and you're listening for your voice to come out of there, but there's drums 5 feet away from you that are banging.
Right, that are banging in there, and then when we had, we had 3 monitors on the floor and all the mics, and then you get feedback.
Feedback.
There's tons of issues, so I'm so happy that we don't really have to deal with that stuff anymore.
That lady right there, she made that happen.
Yep. After a few years of analog nonsense, you know, you got to move into the digital age. So it's just beautiful over there. I love the lights, and we got to get our own smoke machine for sure.
Yeah. I mean, remember that Friday night videos? There was a show, or Saturday Night Live. This is like one of those old, you know, solid gold shows. I mean, it's perfect. It's fantastic. The shots are great. Yeah.
So,
Jam Lab. Make sure you check those guys out.
Yes. Thank you again, Colin, for a great night and really taking care of us. I know I'm pretty sure we'll be working with you guys again, because once all of this COVID nonsense is over, we're gonna finally be able to, you know, move forward with these plans that are supposed to be done with. The music business, it's not been easy for us and for anybody else that is in the music business. So that brings us to gigs, you know, and right now we're looking for gigs because we're moving into stage 4, and we're looking for those gigs that are outdoor and safe for our patrons, for our fans, and for us. I know that restaurant owners have had a crazy time trying to open right away. Like Chicago, what did they give bars? 2 days notice? Like, you could open tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
So there's tons of stuff, but I know that usually in the summer, we could play anywhere from 3 to 5 or 6 shows a week.
Yeah, sure. I mean, and mostly outdoors. I mean, I'd say well over 90% of the hits in summer are outdoors. And I can't remember the last Park District gig that we played where we were within 50 feet of anybody. If you think about it, we're usually up in a gazebo and everybody's on the lawn there 100 feet away.
And some of them have just such widespread area that people could be at, that's still a safe thing. You know, Chicago and Illinois, we're doing so much better than other places here in the country just on COVID, and we're moving forward, which is fantastic.
Yeah, good on you guys. You know, everybody being safe, putting those masks on and keeping that social distancing, getting tested. We've done great here. And because of that, we'll be able to open soon. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, and that's what it's about. Like, I'm itching. I was so disappointed in Mother Nature. I was singing Burt Bacharach, you know, Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head on Saturday, just because, man, I was dying. I was dying to get out and actually play for some people and have 2 gigs in 1 week. It was like a dream come true. But you can't control the weather. That's another thing about the summer stuff, is that you gotta roll with the punches. So I'm sure we're gonna be back at Richie's and any other place. Come on, you know who you need to contact for this. It's the boss lady. It's Kathy Fern. She will definitely talk to you about getting us booked at your outdoor safe venue area. Yep. And I have a feeling most of these park districts are going to be sent back to, next year. So I know the wedding bands that I've talked to, the guys in there, they're like, yeah, 2021 looks fantastic, but
right. We gotta make it there.
Exactly. All right. I think it's time for another segment here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So which one?
Hey, so let's look behind the lens. We have no graphic. All right. So behind the lens is a segment that we have where we speak about just certain things that go on backstage or off stage. Or I'm also an actor, recently a SAG actor, and one of my first jobs was on Chicago Med. I had a speaking role on Chicago Med. I want to say it was last season, Norris Jackson. There's me there. And so there's a process to this thing. So there's my injury, and that's makeup. But there was also a prosthetic arm that they had to make. And this thing was like a mold of my arm. It looked exactly like my arm. So, this was probably my second or third television appearance in terms of beyond an extra role.
Did I bring you to that audition, Lyle? Was that
Yeah, that's the audition you brought me to, and we were late for a hit. I think we talked about this one last week. This was the one. So anyway, on the actual gig, you go in a day too early for costumes, etc. And I had to go in for this arm because they had to put a mold on my arm. And so I didn't want to be late. So I might have either stayed up late or got up really early. I was sleepy, but I didn't want to blow it. You don't want to show up late on any set. It's just horrible for your reputation. So I got there on time and everything. They put the mold on me. You got to sit there for about 3 hours. So they put on some music. It's all
And
cool
union pay though. Like it could have been worse, right?
What's that?
Weren't you getting union pay for that?
Yeah.
That
yeah.
No. While that's
at the
happening?
time, I think this was before I got in the union. But I did get a nice check for that day, because it was still a union. It was a big, it's Universal. It's a big studio. But to prevent falling asleep, and you got to keep your arm perfectly still. So I kind of made a fist like this, and I had my arm, in this resting position. But I don't want to move and get lazy, doze off and lose the mold. So I kind of tightened my arm up, so it was bulging kind of inside of it. Anyway, I get on set the next day, a couple days later. The other part is the camera does add weight. So I slowed down my eating quite a bit for the next couple of days because I wanted to be as slim as possible going on camera. All right.
Did you know that you were going to be like in the hospital gown and like all covered up?
I had a feeling if they're making a mold of the arm, I might be exposed, or I either was going to be. And I think I saw on the scene that I'd be in a hospital gown, or maybe I thought I was coming into somewhere, like in an emergency situation, but I was on the cart already. That's part of the thing. See, I tried to slim down, so I stopped, eating as much as usual for a couple of days. I actually lost like 3 pounds. I get on set, and so they bring the arm over to check the match, and the director's like, "Man, this is a pretty good match. We'll be able to use this. It's kind of big though. Can you roll your sleeve up?" And so I roll up my sleeve, and I haven't eaten in a couple of days. And he said, "Oh, it's kind of a muscle on the there's a muscle on the prosthetic arm. Can we use this?" He said, we'll just roll the sleeve back down. Don't worry about it." Because my arm was like, I was decimated. I was like super slim. So he was like, "No, this is going to be. We'll put a sleeve on the arm." So they were able to use it, but. And
I remember that episode. It was like right at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, it was the first episode of the year. And then
something about a football player, right? Wasn't that in there?
Yeah. I said the doctor was a football player or something. It was a joke that the guy cracked. And then the weight loss thing was all for naught because I'm sitting in this position, upright on the hospital bed, and anybody in that position, I don't care if you're, I don't know, some muscle bound. Tyrese Gibson, I couldn't think of anybody else. You're gonna look fat or sloppy or in that position. You can't look like no matter what. So I could have just eaten donuts and had a fat arm that day, and there it is. So there's Behind the Lens.
Yes, it's time for us to be moving on over, and I'm sorry I didn't have that other intro. I thought it was set up. You know how all this stuff is. But I do have this next one ready to go, and it's one of my favorite segments. Here we go.
Yeah. That's right. It's time for Over Underrated. Over Underrated, the segment where we discuss an artist and we talk about whether or not they are receiving too many accolades,
right?
Too few accolades, or just the right amount of accolades. Are they overrated or underrated?
Yes.
This week we're talking Joe Cocker.
Yes, and why don't we let Glenn start this one off? Do you think Joe Cocker is overrated or underrated, and how are you making your decision, Glenn?
Yeah.
Well, I would say that he is underrated. I believe that Joe Cocker was one of the all-time greats. He could take a song, even a hit, and make it his own. You're talking like songs like Delta Lady, Feeling All Right, Cry Me River, You Are So Beautiful,
Come Together,
You Can Leave Your Hat On,
Woman to Woman,
Little Help from My Friends.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Beatles song. I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
Played Woodstock, played Isles of Wight, 1970 Mad Dogs and Englishmen with Leon Russell at the Fillmore East. I mean, this is just epic stuff. As late as 2000, I mean, Austin City Limits. If anybody wants to see just a fantastic show, it's on YouTube, all the segments. Kenny Arnoff on drums, just, he's an unbelievable drummer, but that night he was just on fire. I mean, this is a guy that his name is etched in rock and roll history. I mean, in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say he's just about right. I would say he may be a little bit overrated, actually. It's the voice. And now, I've evolved a bit on this one because for years, ever since I was a kid, when I heard Joe Cocker's voice, I was like, how is this guy a singer? A singer is his occupation. His voice is ridiculous. It's never going to last. And then over the years, he kept singing and he kept aging and his voice still sounded like that. Now, it's kind of like one of those things where how do you say if it's good or bad? Because it's the same. But the fact that it didn't deteriorate any, maybe that's just the voice that he has.
What, I just try to imagine, like, how can that deteriorate any more than it is? Like, he didn't start out with a clean, nice, he sounded out with that dirty, grungy, Chicago blues.
Whiskey, he said that he drank to make that it
was whiskey and 4 packs of cigarettes a day. That was
right.
And this is what I'm saying. So as a vocalist, I know that is unsustainable. So how did he sustain it? Well, I guess he's just gifted. But what the hell?
And he played live like well into his pretty much he was touring to the day he died. And I was lucky enough to go see him. I'm pretty sure it was the Chicago Theater when I was still in high school. One of my grandpa's friends, cousins, something like that was his tour manager. And I'm just amazed at people. First of all, one of the reasons why I really like him is that just like the Secondhand Soul Band, when we play a song, we turn it into what we do. We're not trying to necessarily emulate exactly what the artist sounds like. We're trying to sound like a Secondhand Soul Band doing this song. And Joe Cocker, to me, he's a master of making a song completely his own, where you don't even realize that it's a cover. And he didn't really have that many. Like, most of his stuff was all covers, and he still made an amazing music career and toured forever. And what else can you ask for? So
no, I mean, and he actually has a couple of remake CDs that are quite nice with some classics on there. That he did. I want to say he was in the 60s when he did those. And I mean, Joe Cocker's he's one of my influences. And the thing that I got from him, it was, it's not about, okay, I guess it is about whether or not you're able to sing, you got to hit the notes, but the sound of your voice. doesn't have to be a traditional, pretty sound. You just have to be able to wield it the right way. Like he could wield his voice.
Well,
there are a lot of
and
people who have bad voices but are great singers.
Well, and
And
sounds
that's what I
number
got.
one, man. When I was really working on my own personal sax sound, a lot of singers is what like old jazz guys would be like John Coltrane. He considered his saxophone voice his singing voice. You know, just like me. You know, it's like
You can pick it out.
But it's just as unique as a singing voice, and what makes something beautiful doesn't necessarily have to conform to any reality that because art is open, and
It is.
and Miles Davis. I always think about Miles Davis because he was always about like how humans sort of are not we're not perfect, and music's not perfect, and you got to get in there, and those little like mess ups that he made in So What with the trumpet cracking notes, that's part of music, and that's what we need in there. And when you hear a voice where it just has that sound of experience, you know,
and mistakes. You know,
right.
It humanizes you.
I'm not going to say he had the greatest pitch in the world, but sometimes that's not really the point of that art. And this is why click tracks and auto tune and a lot of this other nonsense I'm not a big fan of, just because the old cats will tell you it's really not what makes music art. And now if you listen to the radio, everything is so precise, and if it's not, then they overdub it, and it becomes a mathematical game.
It's programming.
Right. And I forget the actual the term in music, but in music history there was literally like mathematics where they were using math to create melodies, and it didn't last very long, you know, because math can't create melodies. That's the cool intertwine of
math is how we record it. Math is how we record it, but that's not how it's created. I'd agree with that. It's created by the spirit, by the soul.
Right.
And that's the thing. I was trying to make my voice something palatable, but
how do you get
recorded
sound to sound with that coming through? And there has to be like that organic part, and you can't. That's like everyone still likes vinyl.
Right.
Why? Why? Because it cracks, because you got to buy a new one, or no, it's because there's something real about analog sound waves that digital can't make you feel. So Joe Cocker, in my opinion, go ahead, Glenn. Get back in here.
The other thing about Cocker was he was able to create a very strong emotional connection with his audience. He was a beloved character, evident by the parodies from Saturday Night Live with John Belushi, all the way to back to that Austin City Limits concert where he was singing "Little Help from My Friends" and he lost his voice, and the audience just rallied around him. I mean, he was so loved because of the emotional connection that he was able to get with his audience, and it was based on his voice and his timbre and just the way he delivered a song.
Right, because he was sharing, he was expressing something, and that's why anytime anybody's like, how many languages do you speak? I always like to say 2, just because English. Yes, I speak English. I don't write it very well, and I speak it okay. But I think music is one of those languages that transcend what language anybody speaks, because you could play a certain vibe, and then all of a sudden they know exactly what you're saying. They don't have to speak your same language at all. They could feel it, and that to me has power, and it's not about perfection by any stretch of the imagination. It's about can you express that? Can the listener feel that? And if they can, then they're going to be on your side. They're going to love it. Now, does that mean that, so-and-so blew off these changes, or so-and-so is a half step up, you're not going to get upset about? Like, come on. That's
that's a
not
screw
what
up.
we're
That's
talking
different,
about,
yeah.
right? That's just you sleeping on the job,
Right.
or on autopilot, or
Yeah, those things are different, and they're obvious. They're like a crash. They're like a plane crash or train or some kind of. You can hear it. You feel it. You
Yep.
feel a mistake like that. But yeah, man, I thought I just lost.
It's all right, Lyle. It's all right.
We're
It'll
coming
come back.
down to the wire here. Do we have any questions out there, Dave?
Yeah, I'm
You got
looking
any
right
commentary?
now. We just got
Yeah.
people enjoying and watching. So
Uh-huh.
if you do have any comments, now is definitely the time to do it. If not, we will be seeing you guys next week. Please do not forget about getting us booked, getting us out there and playing.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait to play. And no gigs on the calendar is making me very, very, very nervous.
So
Especially with us moving to stage 4. So I know.
right, this right here
That's right.
and up there.
Uh-huh.
That's where you get in contact with us. Check out the website secondhandsoulband.com and get in contact with the boss lady, Kathy.
Kathy
at
Fern, yes.
secondhandsoulband.com right there. That's how you can book us for these upcoming outdoor gigs. We're ready, baby. We're ready to come back, and I know you guys are ready to see us again. So let's get ready to.
And we got to thank Glenn. Thank you so much for subbing in for us.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
You're
Glenn.
fantastic.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, guys.
I can't wait until that guitar's back in your hand, and we're making that.
Right
we're
on.
making that groove. And Lyle, Dynamite Miller, always a
Right
pleasure
on.
with you. So
Yes,
Kathy,
sir. Thanks, man.
Kathy,
Well,
I hope we did you justice tonight. I know you couldn't be here, but we love you, and I know you're going to be watching at some point here. So to our fans, I hope to see you soon. I really do. Lyle and Glenn.